And we're live here, Armchair QBs, Manbees. What is going on? What is good? What is good?
What's up? First Sunday night football all done.
First Sunday football and all the pain with week one. Not only starting off with the tight end injuries, but oh my goodness, all the scores today.
Yeah.
Some ugly football.
Some ugly football, some pretty decent looking, but overall, yeah, it wasn't the best.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a fan of the morning games. I mean, those morning games. I mean, you started nodding off with a baby there, and I was like, man, these games are brutal.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. We'll go over a quick rundown of each team, each matchup, just really quick. I'm gonna log in here. Let's see. So first up on the screen, we have Mantequilla versus Red Solo Cup. That's me versus Daniel. I'll just go over my team really quick. So right now I have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs left to play in the Monday night game. T. Higgins with a big goose egg. Amari Cooper was MIA still. I don't think he found any rhythm with Deshaun Watson. Ramondre Stevenson saved his game there. With that last reception. Mostert falls into the end zone. Waller with only 5 points in this blowout of a game. 0-40. Unbelievable. And then Mike Williams, obviously injured, comes back in but doesn't do anything. Anything you see here with my roster?
I mean, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Darren Waller, all three of those guys, they were playing in rain games. Can't really blame them for low scores. It's kind of hard to catch the ball in rain. So Mike Williams, he got injured. I don't remember how long he was out for, but he was out for a good minute, and it didn't look like Justin Herbert was throwing and passing the ball around as much as I think he should have. But that's probably why you didn't see as many targets for Mike Williams.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they were having so much success running the ball, even with how much back and forth it was. The Dolphins couldn't stop your boy Eckler, and then they were even giving it up to Kelly. It's just like, choose your poison. If the run game is working so well, you don't really need to air it out. So, and even Herbert wasn't running as much.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll look at Daniel's team here, Red Solo Cup. He had Burrow, obviously a bad game too, 3 points, affected my Higgins. Same thing with Jamar Chase, just the whole offense in general, like you said, in that rain game. Olave goes off right here. He looked really good. Derek Carr was looking for him a lot. Took a little while to get to get them going, but and then let's see, go over Sky Moore. Sky Moore puts up this stud right here. Cam Akers. Yep, Thursday night game. Cam Akers didn't really see any usage until the second half. Don't know what he did. Maybe spit in Sean McVay's cereal or something. You got.
I told you, Sean McVay's probably gonna look to trade him again this year.
maybe they'll start up those rumors, start up the drama again. Saquon Barkley, game scripted out, 0-40 on the Sunday night game. There ain't no way they coming back from that. Rest all the starters. George Kittle here didn't need to do much. 49ers in general didn't need to do much. Pittsburgh didn't put up a fight at all. So you had CMC. He scored amazing. CMC always does that. And I think it's going to come down every single game. It's going to be CMC, and then choose your poison, whether it's Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. It's going to be one of those guys. Look at Pollard here. Pollard has a solid game with 21 points. And then Red Solo Cup has James Cook tomorrow on Monday Night Football. Anything here that stand out to you?
George Kittle was a surprise to me, actually. He had a lot of involvement, I thought. It looked like I think he had 6 or 7 targets from what I saw. You know, the only thing really for George Kittle, and everybody knows it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Pretty much, you're gonna have 1 or 2 guys, maybe max, for San Fran every week, kind of going off. And this week just wasn't George Kittle's week.
That's pretty much it. I mean, with CMC there, he's utilized both in the passing game and the rushing. And then you're just going to choose your poison with whoever it is.
Yeah, I for San Fran, Ayuk blew up really good.
Yeah.
I mean, forget who has him, but we'll see it. We'll talk about him later.
Yeah, we were mentioning that we wanted to draft him later on in the round, and we were both waiting, hoping that he would drop to us, but that didn't happen. Yep. All right, I'm going to back out here. Let's see. Next team. Hey, Kamish, you are up. So the next one we'll look at here is Kamish. That's Human Beast versus 1, 2, 3. One was that 123rd rounders.
Second, third rounders plus Rams.
Yeah, Johnson's team here.
Yep.
And so just go over your team really quick. You had Justin Herbert go off for 20 points, pretty solid. Amon-Ra St. Brown started you off really good with 16 points. Can't ask for more there. Brandon Cooks tonight, only 3 points. Austin Eckler with a huge game of 26 points to start off the season. Antonio Gibson at MIA. You have your Goddard, just like my Higgins with a goose egg, and then Walker rounds out here. You have 8 points. Okay, could be worse. And then you have tomorrow's game with Garrett Wilson, which should be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm hoping Garrett Wilson can come around with some pretty stacked points here. Looking at, I was watching Hard Knocks, and it looks like, Garrett Wilson is Rodgers' favorite target. So let's hope that comes to fruition tomorrow. Yeah, super disappointed with Gibson and Goddard especially, just because he gave me the goose egg. I was hoping that Jalen Hurts would throw it to him more, but I think he only saw like 1 target. That was it. And he just was relegated to pass blocking the rest of the game, which was annoying.
All right, and we have Johnson. Let's see. So you guys are pretty close right now, and the projections are actually pretty close too. He has 2 players going tomorrow. We'll just go down the list really quick. So he had Trevor Lawrence here, 18 points, pretty solid. AJ Brown, only 11 points. He thought that would have been more, but it's pretty solid. If he finds the end zone there, then obviously that's a great day. Tyler Lockett, surprisingly, only 2 points. Looks like Geno Smith was really targeting DK Metcalf. You have Bijan Robinson here with 17 points, was pretty solid. Etienne, it's interesting that Johnson has this stack right here with Trevor Lawrence and Etienne, which you would think would be negative correlation here. But he ends up finding the end zone, going off for 18 points. You have Terry McLaurin there. He was dealing with that turf toe. Only 4 points here. I think they'll figure that out. And then obviously for the game tomorrow, Dalton Kincaid and then Breece Hall. Anything that stand out here to you?
I talked about it in my draft notes. Terry McLaurin, I thought he was going to be dealing with turf toe. I thought it was going to kind of hamper him coming into the season. He looked fine, actually. I think more so it was a surprise that Arizona's defense was playing up to par with Washington's offense. That was very surprising to me.
Yeah, definitely.
The sad thing was Tyler Lockett, seeing him go out with possible concussion. You know, they had to go and evaluate him, but he did come back in. It looks like. So good for him. I'm glad he didn't get a concussion. And then Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he looked like he was pretty much starting off from where he left off last year, and then just continuing to do his thing from last year.
Yeah.
He was passing the ball around. Calvin Ridley looked really good.
Yeah,
Etienne,
Ridley looked
he
amazing.
and Etienne was able to get in the game with the rushing. It didn't look like Lawrence had to do much work on the ground himself. He was able to air it out.
Yeah. And Etienne was sharing with his backup too. It wasn't like he was, bell cow running back. So he still puts up this score right here, sharing that backfield. So if he gets a little bit more and he stays healthy, it could look good for Johnson here. All right, let's back out here. Gonna go to the Jonas Brothers versus Jamario Brothers. Interesting. Mikey versus Sean.
Cousin versus cousin right there.
Cousin versus cousin. So we got 88 points right now versus 91. Sean is currently leading. He is projected to win too.
They are done. They have all players played. Sean is winning this week.
Oh snaps! Look at that, dude. What? Yeah, they are done. Yeah. Look at that. So projected, you had 106 here. He only scores 91. It feels like every year this happens. The first one or two Sundays, first 1 or 2 weeks, and you get these dud games. You still get guys like Justin Jefferson balling out CMC. It's like these other teams that really have to, they don't play anyone during preseason. It's like the first 2 weeks of preseason.
Also, too, the Yahoo projections, like you were saying, the first 2 weeks or so, it's hard to project that and kind of listen to it too, because every team has changed up its scheme somehow in some way to kind of feature another player more or less or something. So when Yahoo's looking at their projections, they're basing everything in the past, which you can't really do.
Yeah, and then once we get like 3-4 weeks in, we'll have more of a pool of data, and you'll see these projections start going up to 115, 120.
Yeah, and they'll also be getting closer to what the actual score is too.
Exactly. So let's go over Mikey's team. Mikey had that stack that he ended up taking in the draft. He has Justin Hurts, DJ Moore here.
Jalen Hurts.
What did I say? Did I say Justin?
You said Justin Hurts.
I got Justin Herbert on two of my teams. All right, so you got Jalen Hurts, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, CMC, Montgomery, the Muth. He's got that stack with Devontae Smith and then Sanders. Anything stick out to you here?
I was surprised, but also not surprised, seeing how Calvin Ridley's usage was. It definitely left very little for Christian Kirk. Sorry. That was a surprise to me. I thought that they would spread the ball a little bit more. I thought they would try to ease in Calvin Ridley and kind of ease out Christian Kirk a little bit. So that was a surprise to me.
It's funny when you mentioned that, because it's just not Christian Kirk that affects. You look at Evan Engram, so if you're taking a late dart in the draft on a tight end, Evan Engram looks okay. It's a lot safer than playing that pool of like the Musgrave. Start getting into the doldrums there. Even his targets are going to be affected if it's going to be the Calvin Ridley show.
Yeah. The other thing that was a surprise to me, and he was a early off-season target for me. I kind of eased off of the hype a little bit, but looking at his stat line, it looks like the hype was kind of living up to it. And you don't like him, Frank Reich. You don't like the coach, but he talked about trying to get Miles Sanders. What was it, 50 catches again, something like that? He had some
ridiculous
today.
amount.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous, but it's something that he had done before. But looking at his stat line, he had 6 targets today. So if that keeps up, it's possible that he might get those 50 catches this year.
Yeah, I mean, just add a touchdown to this, and this is an amazing week for Miles Sanders. So, not bad there. Mikey actually has a pretty solid team here. So, let's move over to Sean's team. Oh, did you want to say something about Mikey's team?
Oh no, I was just gonna say there were some points left on the bench with Tyler Algier.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
But you know, you couldn't really predict that. Everybody was hyping up Bijan Robinson. And then Van Jefferson, everybody was hyping him up too. So I think once Cooper Kupp comes back, or if he does come back, then we'll kind of, or if it's decided that he's not going to come back, you know, we'll kind of see where the wide receiver room plays out in Los Angeles for the Rams.
Okay. Let's go with Sean's team here. Lamar Jackson puts up a 7, another dud here. Jamar Chase, look at that, man, 6.6. So looks like they just did they? I don't even think Jamar Chase, the stack of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, I don't even think they broke 10 points there. You have Devontae Adams here, 9 points. I mean, that was a pretty tight game there. He had Patrick Surtain covering him the entire time. So the few times that we saw in red zone where Patrick Surtain wasn't on him were the big plays that he ended up having. Aaron Jones went off 26 points. He could have had a monster game. He kind of tweaked his hamstring a little bit when he went into the tunnel after that touchdown.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned that to you, and then they ended up mentioning that on the broadcast. Khalil Herbert here, only 9 points. Higbee with 6 points. Deebo Samuel, he had that Ayuk was getting all those targets. Mike Evans with a solid game here. That touchdown really saved him. Anything here that stand out?
Mike Evans, for sure. I mean, doesn't stand out as a player in general because this pretty much looks like what he has normally done. It was just more of a surprise to me. I was expecting with Baker Mayfield, you know, a lot of missed targets. Actually, let's take a look. What is his stat line? He had 10 targets, so 4 missed targets, which overall isn't too bad. But you know, looking at what everybody was kind of projecting Tampa Bay to be, this was very interesting to me to see Mike Evans be able to reach these double-digit, like mid-teen points. You know?
Yeah. I'll take those targets.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I think was Lamar Jackson. I think the reason why he wasn't able to score is just, you know, they couldn't figure out. It seemed like the new scheme they're still trying to figure out, the new offensive scheme. And then not only, well, not only that, I was gonna say that it also seemed like Houston, their defense, they kind of figured out how to stop them where they were at. You know. Khalil Herbert, he would have had a higher score had he not been vultured by Rashawn Johnson, for sure. And Tyler Higbee, there was a lot of talk that he was going to have a lot of targets this week with Cooper Kupp out. And definitely watching the game, the very beginning, I think it was like the first quarter, it seemed like he was involved really like a ton. But I think he only had 3 targets total for the whole game, which ended up in 3 receptions.
Let's see. 3 receptions. They don't need. There you go. Let's look at game log.
Yeah, he had 3 receptions for 49 yards, average of 16.3 per reception.
Oh, I don't even think Yahoo's. Let's see if Yahoo's. I don't know why Yahoo has it on 2022. Yeah, so he has 3 targets, 49 yards. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you would have thought he would have gone more for all the hype that he was getting. Especially, I think they will get him more. They'll get him more targets for sure. We have sample size, a pretty large sample size with Tyler Higbee and Matt Stafford.
Yeah, and Stafford loves to throw to the tight end. He's not afraid to go there.
Yeah. Right on. Let's move on. Back out here. Let's go to Chubb It Out. And you're on Mahomes. Cool. So we got Manny's team here versus Mish. going through Manny's team right here. Manny had a pretty solid week here. 96 points. Misha ends up with 95, so just barely. Manny ekes that out there. Justin Fields with 15 points. CeeDee Lamb only 10 points. They didn't need to do much. It was such a blowout, and the defense scored all those points. Calvin Ridley, we already talked about that, how much we loved his game. Nick Chubb, solid game. Joe Mixon here, obviously in that bum of a game there. You have Hawkinson here, solid 7 points. Anytime a tight end doesn't give you a 0, you're happy. You got White here with Tampa Bay. He had a lot of usage, so I mean, his stat line doesn't show it, but I read a couple commentators actually talking about his usage, which was nice. He had such a huge snap rate. And then Courtland Sutton here, 11 points. He ends up finding the end zone here, so kind of that touchdown deodorant, but he gets 11 points. Anything here stand out?
Let's see. We talked about Calvin Ridley. That was a big surprise to me coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think here, besides Calvin Ridley, Joe Mixon, that was a surprise. You know, and being in the rain game, you would expect them to carry the ball a little bit more. But I think he had, looking at his stat line, he had 13 carries. And I would honestly expect that to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think they were mixing in their other backfields. I forget who they are. Chris Evans. We saw him.
Had some usage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was just weird to me, not seeing Mixon as much. And I think it was part of that was because they were down really quick. You know, so they ended up having to air it out rather than use the run game. But that's the other thing that's a surprise to me too, is Mixon can catch the ball. So I don't know why they didn't really use him as much there. He had 3 receptions and 5 targets, but I mean, maybe we can attribute that to the rain game, maybe just in general. You know,
I mean, that defense, good grief, Cleveland's defense, man, is so stout, and you just watch Joe Burrow just running for his life. Some of those plays, man, it's just like that Geno Smith play that we saw, where he sees Aaron Donald coming down. It's like you see all those pass rushers from Cleveland. It's just like, so even Joe Mixon's not going to be able to go off like that when they can't get that huge that potent offense there in Cincinnati, and they can't get that going. That's a huge defense. So it's just one of those things where the matchups. I mean, Cincinnati, we know they'll bounce back. Let's look over here at Misha's team really quick. So we got Patrick Mahomes. Feels like a quiet game for him. He has 45 rushing yards, which is pretty decent, 20 points. Justin Jefferson, we're used to this by him. I mean, imagine if he scores a touchdown. Now we're like even more ecstatic about him. 150 yards, amazing. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk, the game we already talked about that. 29 points, just a stud. J.K. Dobbins goes out, tears his Achilles. Najee.
The bummer.
Manny, is that your boy Najee? We'll see if Jaylen Warren takes over that backfield. Evan Ingram, again, we talked about that with the Calvin Ridley and the Christian Kirk. Calvin Ridley continues to get all these targets. And that's, if that's Trevor Lawrence's new guy, then we're going to see less targets for Ingram. We're going to see less targets for Christian Kirk there. Drake London with a big 0 there. Atlanta, all they're going to do is they're going to run. And then, good grief, even look at this, DeAndre Swift. Not even a 1 point. Anything here that stand out?
J.K. Dobbins, that's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to see the guy go. I mean, he really just came back from his ACL, I think it was, from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's out for the rest of the season again this year because of the Achilles. Evan Engram, I in reviewing Mishi's team with my notes and takeaways after the draft, I feel like kind of seeing how some of her players panned out this week kind of helped justify what I was talking about. You know, I was saying that I didn't really like the Najee Harris pick, but he was kind of the value. Well, no, I said he was a tier below some of the guys that were still available. You know, and this 4 points kind of shows that there. I talked about it's probably better for Mishi to start Engram over Njoku, and looking at the point difference is 4 points there. That was a big difference. And I also talked about not liking Drake London or DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, the Drake London one for me was a huge fade, just because, I mean, Arthur Smith, we know that he's going to run the ball. Last year he was using 3 running backs. This year, I mean, if Cordarrelle Patterson was in and he was healthy, I mean, good grief, we would have seen 3 running backs in there. It wouldn't have just been Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. And Algier, I mean, you know, because Bijan Robinson needed that breather on the goal line. He gets stopped, and Algier comes in for the cleanup work. Amazing.
Yeah.
So we know Arthur Smith, I mean, rain or shine, he could be down 50 points, and he's still going to be running it.
He'll still run the ball. But see, that's the other thing too. If you look at Drake London's stat line for this game this week, 1 target. That's it. 1 target. You know, obviously that's not going to keep up. Obviously he's going to get more targets. The Falcons can't just run the ball. They're going to have to throw it at some point.
I don't know, man.
But the question is, that's the thing. The question is, how much more does that 1 target per week go up? You know?
I know.
It's one of those things where it's like you can't really drop him because he was a top pick when he came out of college.
No, you're not dropping him, but Arthur Smith might still
but
say,
you can't
hold my
trade him
beer.
either because nobody's gonna want him.
Homeboy's gonna say, hold my beer, man. You're gonna see. It's gonna be all rushing.
Yeah.
We'll get 15 passes.
I think the other thing, for sure, he's gonna get like 3 targets next week. And maybe 1 reception. I think the thing that surprised me the most with Evan Engram, though, moving on to a different player, during the offseason, there was big news about how he got signed for a big contract. And I mean, he caught all of his targets, but he only had 5 targets. So it seemed like it sounded like they were going to use him more, but they didn't.
I mean, it's still a pretty decent stat line for a tight end, especially when you're at that point where he's not a streaming tight end. But I mean, because Travis Kelce, he's like the top of the tier, and even from him there's a drop down. Yeah. You know. So you got him drop down second tier with Mark Andrews, maybe throw in Hawkinson and Kittle, and then it's these guys here. So not bad.
Oh man, Hawkinson, he had 8 receptions. Hawkinson going back to Manny's team there.
Yeah.
8 receptions. Love to see that from a tight end.
Yep. So the targets were there for him. If he just could get this. Let's see. Let's back out of here. We'll do one last team. I'm going to do one last matchup here. Then it's Alex versus Ken. This host slaps versus Waddle. So we got 119 the total here, and then 74.
And all their players are done too.
All their players are done. So Alex with a big win here. Is that the highest? Looks like it might be the highest for the week so far. And
almost 50 point spread.
Yeah. So that's pretty big. So he has Anthony Richardson here. Everyone was talking about him, hyping him up, and he didn't have the greatest game I saw, but I mean 21 points here. Look down here, you got Tyreek Hill, that monster game, just unbelievable. DK Metcalf, I mean, when you got your worst players are scoring these 10 pointers, 13, like 12, 13, that's decent. That's better than my team getting a goose egg, your Goddard getting a goose egg, 5 points. So once you start scoring around the 15 range, I mean, you're going to start getting pretty high up here. You have Derrick Henry. I mean, even for him, this is a low game here, almost 14 points. Jahmyr Gibbs looks interesting. We were talking about offering Alex trade offers for Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll see about that. If he likes Jahmyr Gibbs, who knows? Kyle Pitts, again, we're talking about Atlanta's passing attack or lack of. Madison here with almost 12 points. He has that touchdown deodorant there, and then George Pickens with only 6 points. Anything here really quick that stand out?
You said it with Tyreek Hill. Dude's a monster. I don't even want to talk about him.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, what was surprising to me was he had 3 targets. Looking at last year, the Titans did want to involve Derrick Henry in the passing game, and it looks like that's going to continue, which is obviously really great for a running back. So you love to see that. And I mean, you look at it, he had 3 targets. He only caught 2 of them, but 2 receptions for 56 yards. Holy balls, man!
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yep. Almost
Yeah.
half of his scrimmage yards come from a reception.
Yeah, almost half of
That's
his
Derrick Henry we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. You talked about Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a rookie running back, and kind of everybody knew the hype that was going in, and I don't think anybody really knew 100% what you were going to get with him, especially, you know, with the Detroit curse with the running backs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he could probably be the one to end the running back curse for Detroit, maybe, hopefully, you know, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna kind of ramp him up. They're still gonna involve David Montgomery for sure, but I think they'll ramp up Gibbs' usage more than what we saw this week.
Let's go over to Ken's team to round things out. He has Deshaun Watson here with 21 points, Jalen Waddle 9 points. You got Keenan Allen here 11 points, Josh Jacobs 8, Damian Pierce with a quiet 5, Cole Kmet with 6 points, James Conner with a 9, and Deion Jackson. I was surprised with this. He actually put Deion Jackson in, got 1 point. Let me see his bench really quick. For Ken, I thought he would have played Brian Robinson up here actually. And he put Deion Jackson in last second. So we'll see if he ends up changing that. Same thing with Tua here. Let's see if he ends up changing Tua or Michael Pittman for some of these other guys. Anything here that stand out?
I think Tua, that again, Tyreek Hill, Tua, that connection was ridiculous. You hope Tua stays healthy. He started last year very hot, and then he had all the injuries. You know, he had, or not all the injury, but
All
the concussions.
Yep.
Yeah, so
He had like 3
you kind of
concussions.
hope,
He was just like done.
yeah, you kind of hope that he just stays healthy. But I don't know what Ken does here with Deshaun Watson and Tua. That's a tough one, because Watson, he looked better than last year for sure, but he still doesn't look like his old self, you know.
No, you're not seeing the same rushing. I mean,
Uh,
he has 45 rushing
no.
yards here, but he does not look the same as when he was in Houston. I mean, Houston, he was looking Lamar Jackson type.
He only had 5 rushing attempts. I think in Houston, that was like at some games it was going up into the 10s, you know.
Yep.
Let's see, Josh Jacobs. That was kind of a surprise to me that he got stopped a lot. But I mean, Denver has your boys. They have really good.
They've always had good defense. I mean, I'm not as happy, right now. And obviously, I was talking about Vance Joseph earlier in their schemes. They lose that close game 17-16 right here. Go figure, and it's the extra point from Will Lutz that he ends up missing to, could have been a tie game here. So
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me for Ken's team actually was on his bench. Pittman.
yeah,
You were talking about him a lot. You brought him up a lot, like, because this was the game that I kind of nodded off in, and I'm looking at it. He had 11 targets. Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot. And compared to last year, that's a stark, huge difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see if Anthony Richards, looks to him a lot as his de facto.
Yeah.
So,
See.
right on. Let's see. Let's back out here. So that's pretty good. So that matchup was completed. Misha and Manny is completed already. Jonas Brothers, the cousins, are completed. So it looks like it's just your team.
I think it's just ours.
Yeah, your team, Johnson.
Our matchups have Monday
me
night
and
games.
Daniel, they have Monday night games. So we'll see. Half of the league's already done. Congrats to you
The
guys
other
that
funny
got
thing
your first
too
one.
is,
What's up?
I'm just looking at. I scrolled down on my browser, looking at the team standings, taking a look at the far right column where it says moves. You and me are day one pretty much already have the most moves in the league so far.
Oh yeah.
4
Mine
moves
was
for me,
stupid.
7 moves for you.
It was all tight end posturing for me once I didn't.
Oh yeah. No, it's
Darren
just
Waller.
funny seeing it. It's just really funny seeing it.
All right. It looks like that's gonna be it. And
Yep.
we're signing off. We'll catch you guys later. Good luck to everyone else that is not playing against us, I guess. That means good luck to you, Manbees. Good luck to me.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Congrats to everyone that got their first win. All right.
Congrats.
Peace out, yeah.
Bye, guys.